When it comes to cooking ribs, you got two choices. Cook them whole like this, or cut off the best part. You know I'm cooking these whole. Some people though choose to remove the rib tips. That'd make these in the St. Louis cut. These are whole spare ribs we're cooking today. I am going to go ahead and give these ribs a quick trim. Going to take off some of that thin meat around the edges that's going to dry out during the cooking process. Going to go ahead and slice this up into small pieces and save this for my sausage grind. Don't like to waste meat with the prices being how they are. Now look at that. That's perfect. Look at that great marbling on these ribs. Flip it over. On the back side, you're going to find this thin flap of meat. This would be the outside skirt steak if it was a piece of beef. Save this and go ahead and grill this up. This makes for some amazing snacks. So tender and flavorful. If you haven't tried this yet, you don't know what you're missing. You just got to make sure you remove that membrane on the back side, and it's going to be delicious. You'll thank me later for this one. Then we're going to go ahead and remove any of the loose chunks of visceral fat that's going to interfere with the rub sticking. The next step, of course, is to remove the membrane. I like to use a butter knife and go about 3 or 4 bones up, go between the bones, get that membrane loose, shove your fingers as far up as you can so you got something to grab onto. A paper towel would also be helpful to help you get a better grip, but I don't care if I don't get it all off. We're going to do the best we can. But the key here is, see how I made almost a handle for my 2 fingers, and just lift straight up and use your other hand and pull it side to side. I'm going to use the butter knife here to help me get a little bit better grip since I didn't get paper towels, and pull this off as best I can. If a little bit's left, you're not going to be too bothered by it. Some people like to cook their ribs with the membrane on. I find though, cooking them at 225 low and slow, the membrane does not come out very good. Hot and fast, that membrane will give you a little bit of a snap though. But at that low temperature with high humidity, it comes out chewy. And I'm just going to give up on removing this membrane up here. You won't even notice it. You can spend as much time or as little time as you want worrying about every last little bit of membrane. At some point, you cut your losses. There it is. That looks perfect to me. Again, look how fatty these ribs are. These are amazing. Picked them up at my local slaughterhouse, Hilltown Pork. So we're going to go ahead and season these. I always like to start with the back side. I use a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Some people might call it a binder. I call it a flavor enhancer. This has got a lot of umami flavor, a little bit of sweet, a little bit of salty. Rub that in. Then we're going to be seasoning this up with Crave seasonings today. I'm going to go in with some of this Magic Mardi. This is a Cajun seasoning. Got great flavor. Sprinkle this on. It's not spicy. It's not bland. It's just where you want it to be. Next, we're going in with Rosie's Gold. This is your traditional barbecue rub. It has a little bit of sugar in it, but not very much. These are going to be low-carb barbecue ribs, as always. But they will not be low in flavor. I can guarantee you that. Then we'll just flip it over and repeat the process on the other side. I like to do the top side last. This way the rub doesn't get damaged, and it looks nice for presentation purposes later on in the cook. That's the only reason why we're doing it in this order. So we'll speed this process up, and we'll move on. That's what we're going for. Missed a few spots around the edges, but that's not a big deal. Got me a nice big stack of ribs on this cutting board. We're going to stick this in the refrigerator and let those flavors soak in overnight. Going to go ahead and get the Lone Star Grills Insulated Mini ready here tonight. This way, first thing in the morning, all we got to do is lay it up and go. Here we are the next morning now. Going to go ahead and light up one of these boom fire starters from Jealous Devil with my torch. Going to put the chimney on top of this. And we heat this up inside of the smoker because this smoker is heavy and all steel. The only drawback to the Lone Star Grills Insulated Mini is how long it takes to come up to temperature. So we got that Jealous Devil Chunx. Going to go ahead and get that over that fire starter. And then we're going to shut the door and let it sit in there for about 20 minutes or until all the charcoal is nice and hot. So we'll check back in just a bit. While that gets going, I'm going to get my Inkbird Smoke controller out. I'm loving this Wi-Fi fan temperature controller. There we go. You can see that charcoal is nice and lit. We're going to go ahead and pour it into the firebox. I've got some oak hardwood in there for flavor. This is a pretty nerve-wracking part here, cooking up on the deck, trying not to spill too many coals. But you saw I spilled a couple there. While we got grill mats though. So go ahead and shut that door. Pull out the chimney starter. Rearrange the racks. And then we'll check back when it's time to put the meat on. You can see that rub soaked in nicely. The Lone Star Grills Insulated Minis coming up to temperature. Going to get these on in just a minute or two. letting that Inkbird Smoke controller take care of getting it up to temperature quickly. There we are, up to temperature. See that nice smoke rolling? Let's get these ribs on. I like to orientate the ribs so that the thicker part is towards the back of the smoker because it's a little bit hotter there. Shut the door, and then this is a set it and forget it smoker. Here we are about 4 hours later. The time is going to vary based on your smoker, your temperature, humidity, the size of the ribs. Remember, we do not cook barbecue based on time or temperature for that matter. When it comes to tender, delicious barbecue, you've got to be going by feel and look. So here's the way you can check ribs. You're going to pick these up and you want to see them crack but not break. So I saw that right away. We put it down. I didn't want to damage them, so we're going to get them off. When it comes time to wrap my ribs, there's two things I want to point out to you. One, I don't do it until they're done. I'm only wrapping these for them to rest in. The other thing is, you might have seen people on the internet wrapping their ribs in some kind of fake butter and margarine junk. We're not doing that here. We're either going to use real butter, or my new favorite is using this bacon up. This is just bacon grease that's been nice and filtered. It's shelf stable and makes the perfect fat to put in with your ribs, because you're going to add a little bit extra fat and you're going to add tons of flavor. This stuff tastes just like bacon, and who doesn't want more bacon in their life? Take a nice tablespoon, gonna put it on the foil here, spread it around a little bit. When we put the ribs on, we're going to go ahead and put that meat side down so that the meat comes in contact with all this. I think we need a little bit more. Can't have too much bacon grease, can you? Next ingredient in my wrap is this Magic Mardi from Crave. This is a Cajun seasoning. We also season the ribs with these if you were paying attention before. Not going to go too heavy. Just a light little dusting is all you need on them. There's already a lot of flavor on those ribs. We just want to give it a little bit of a fresh flavor with this. Let's get these ribs off the smoker, wrap them up. Going to let them sit in a warm place or in a cooler until we're ready to eat. That'll be in a couple hours or so. Let's get them off and we'll see what we got. Woo! Steaming up in here, this meat sauna. This Lone Star Grills Insulated Mini is an amazing smoker. So these are done. What you're going to look for is you can see them starting to crack a little bit. Let me bring you a little bit closer, get a close-up look at these. Okay, a little bit closer look at these ribs. A few keys to know when they're ready to come off the pit. One, we're looking at the pullback on the bone. That's a giveaway. Another thing is we want them to crack, but not completely fall apart. If you yanked on these, they'd fall apart, but you can handle them and they're staying together. So, me, this is just the right amount of tenderness. I don't want these to fall off the bone. I want them to bite off the bone, but not be chewy. So again, we're going to go ahead and put this meat side down right on top of this rope we got here. Okay. Now wrap this up good and tight just with any other barbecue meat, because you don't want it to steam too much. You want to minimize the amount of air you got. Watch out for these bones. They'll punch holes in your foil really easily. I might end up with a little part on the top that's not covered, but I'm not worried about that. Like I said, we missed one little spot on top, but I don't want to stretch this foil and have to tear it. Let these ribs rest in my oven at 145 degrees for about 3 hours wrapped in foil. But what I did just about a half an hour ago was I flipped them over and I uncovered the top so that bar could set back up. Because remember, we had a meat side down, so that got kind of soggy. So they're nice and set up again. Perfect. We're going to get these out of the foil. I'll bring in for a closer look as we slice them up. Not going to waste any of that juice. We're going to pour that back on top. There's not much though. The meat seemed to soak it all up. Okay, let's get these a slice. We're going to go right here in the middle of them. Remember, we don't squeeze our meat here. Follow that bone down. Get us a slice. These ribs look really good, but we're going to kick them up one more notch. Another sprinkle of this Magic Mardi from Crave. To me, this is better than any barbecue sauce. It's going for a nice bite. Oh man. Wow, are these juicy. I would say they're not fall off the bone, but might be a little bit more tender than I like, but they'll bite off the bone though. Oh man, are these good. If you haven't wrapped your meat with bacon up, give it a try. Oh man. Mmm. I don't need a plate. You'll find me right here. No wrap spare ribs. Plenty juicy, plenty tender. Give it a try. Mmm. So remember, check out down below. I've got links and discount codes for all these companies and many more. I appreciate everyone watching. Thanks for the support. Here's another great product I want to feature. There's Lone Star Grills Insulated Mini. I've never gotten anything from these people. I bought this before I was even on YouTube or Instagram. But this smoker is absolutely bulletproof. This thing weighs about 700 pounds. You should have seen the crew of guys it took to get it up here on the deck. Keep cooking. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button. Turn on notifications. And also, remember, you can head over to Instagram and find me there at Rusty BBQ Lamb. I'm posting almost every day over there. I'm always filling my stories up with my daily cooks, what I'm making for me and my family for dinner. Thanks again. Have a good day.